Chief Rich Lockhart, and I'm going to go ahead and do the spellings and everything so you have them on tape. R-I-C-H-L-O-C-K-H-A-R-T. Officer Dan Afalter, sorry. And he was the UAV pilot on the day of the chase, and UAV stands for Unoccupied Aerial Vehicle. It's our commonly known as drone program, and he flew during the arrest. And then Sergeant Drew Fennelly, Afalter is A-F-F-A-L-T-A-R, and then Drew Fennelly, F-T-E-R? Thank you, T-E-R. And then Drew Fennelly is F-E-N-N-E-L-L-E-Y? Y. Thank you.
Officer?
He is the lead for the UAV program, the team coordinator for the UAV program. Sergeant, yes. And then Officer Kevin Henderson was leading the pursuit. So he is, he's an officer, and he's also he's a Patrol Service Dog Max handler. And Mac, you'll see in the video, the dog. And we say Patrol Service Dog instead of K9, PSD program.
Mac or Max?
Mac, M-A-C-K. And then Officer Justin Snipes was second on the pursuit. So you'll hear him too, and he'll be here. And it's S-N-I-P-E-S, common spelling, Justin. The UAV officers can answer questions. The pursuit officers cannot answer any questions. They are victims in the situation, so they are not allowed to answer questions, but they'll be here. And then you'll see in the video, it is compressed for time. If anybody has any questions, because we have so many cameras there and so many different angles, I've tried to make it so that you see everything that you can see, but it's compressed for time when they're walking the suspect back and stuff like that. But if anybody has any questions or concerns that something is left out, just talk to me afterwards and we'll clarify anything you need, okay? So I'll bring everybody in.
Can you tell us the name of the suspect?
Rodney
Erickson.
Erickson Marshall.
Everybody ready? All right, my name is Rich, R-I-C-H, last name's Lockhart, L-O-C-K-H-A-R-T, and I'm the police chief here at Lawrence PD. Thank you all for coming today. We wanted to share some good video with you. Most of you followed the double homicide we had, a few weeks ago, and capturing that suspect was a result of a pretty long car chase through the city. And typically when you see these car chases, they don't look too good at the end. And this one looks really good at the end. And we used some really unique things to be able to safely capture the suspect and his passenger. And so I wanted to share those with all of you today. So we're going to run through the video. The video is condensed for time. It's not been edited in any other way. There were some statements by the suspect that were case elements, so we've bleeped those out. And there was some profanity we bleeped out as well. So those were the only edits to the video. And with that, we've got a map here. So we've got two things here. This is kind of the fancy technology. We've got a Google map of the entire chase scene from where it starts. We tried to stop him at the 900 block of Lawrence. So you see that red dot there. The blue dots are where the suspect fired shots at the officers.
That's a request for KHP TBI. So I was going to ask you to explain what a TBI is, because that's what they'll hear in the video.
Yeah, so it's a tactical vehicle intervention, more commonly known as a pit maneuver. So our officers aren't trained in that, our cars aren't equipped for it. The Highway Patrol is, so they were nearby. We asked them to come in. So you'll see in the video, the Highway Patrol officer takes over primary in the chase, which means he's the first car. And as he's trying to get close to the guy to do this TVI, that's when he gets shot at. He actually ends up, when he swerves, hits the curb, disables his vehicle, and that's when we end up having to take back over as the primary vehicle in the pursuit. As we're going through, you'll see then we get on K10 here, there's shots fired there at one of the officers. And then the other blue there, Laura, that one is,
Where we notify
yeah,
Johnson County.
notifying Johnson County. Kansas, because we're heading eastbound on K10, believing that we might be putting them on notice. We also notified Eudora Police, you'll see in the video as well. They were able to put out stop sticks. Those are tire deflation devices. And that's what actually ends up helping us get this suspect in custody because his truck becomes disabled after one of the Eudora officers deploys those stop sticks. He did fire at the Eudora officers as well. So again, you're looking at a high-energy car chase. You're looking at someone who's fired shots at officers, a very dangerous suspect. He's already, we believe, killed 2 people. And so there's a lot of emotion that goes into these things. And again, I can't say enough good about the Lawrence officers, the Douglas County Sheriff's Department officers, the Highway Patrol officers, and the Eudora officers who were able to help take this dangerous suspect into custody. And with that, are we ready for video? All right, we're going to roll video. This is inside of one of our cars, Officer Kevin Henderson, who was the primary officer in the chase. So I'll let it go here.
573, the 32 is found with our homicide suspect.
And so this is the suspect's truck here. It's very early in the morning. It's about 6:20 in the morning, so not a lot of traffic out. The speeds do get pretty high. They'll get close to 100 miles an hour at when we're on K10. They're right around 60 to 70 miles an hour here. So we're on 9th Street. We just crossed Iowa Street, if you're familiar with the area.
If that trooper can get in and TBI this murder suspect.
So that's where the call for the trooper to come in and do the TBI. And this is a situation where we know this person potentially killed 2 people. He's a very big danger to the public, so we're going to chase him until we get him in custody. It's a very clear episode of somebody who's a danger to the public and needs to be apprehended. You'll also notice that some of our cars are blocking intersections as we get to downtown here. Again, we're trying to ensure that we conduct this pursuit safely. So you can see right here, there's a car that's got some intersections blocked. There's very little traffic on the road, actually no traffic. Again, there's another car blocking an intersection. You can hear all the radio traffic. Again, we're trying to keep it safe, keep everybody informed, knowing what we're doing and where we are. So here's the trooper, permission to TBI. He's going to take over as primary.
You're mostly hearing the voice of Officer Henderson, who's right there, third from the right.
Southbound still.
So here's where the trooper will jump in. And so what he's trying to do, he's trying to get up next to the rear of the car, and you tap the rear end to make the car spin out. So you'll see him trying to get close. And the truck's swerving back and forth because he's probably aware of what he's trying to do. And there's where the trooper hits the curb with his car trying to avoid the shots. And at that point, we believe his car was disabled by hitting the curb, because you'll see him swerve over again. So they're southbound on Haskell Street right now. There he hit the curb again. So we think his car's just pulling because it's been damaged. So at 23rd Street coming up here, he'll stop and a door will open. No one gets out, and that's when the trooper will pull it to the side. This is 23rd Street here. And we think he's going to stop, but he doesn't. He gets going again. So this is where Officer Henderson will take the chase back over again.
Yeah, we're all in it together here. Just clear the air.
And again, when you have situations like this, strong leadership is what's really important to make sure that everybody responds appropriately. And that's what you hear Officer Henderson doing, is providing some really good leadership during the pursuit, and it'll be really evident at the end as well.
HP's still looking out for available. Get everything we can going here. He's still southbound. We're working on it. We're past 23rd. We're still southbound. Coming up to Haskell, 33rd and Haskell area.
And as he turns to get on K10, you'll see that he fires some more shots at Officer Henderson.
Passing 31st. We're going under the bypass bridge right now.
That's K10 right there.
Signaling to get on the bypass. Okay, just give him some room here.
Those were the gunshots. And he's giving him room because he wants to make sure that everybody's, again, safe.
At about 34th, getting on the bypass eastbound.
And at this point, there's really nowhere for him to go, so we can back off a little bit to make sure that our officers are safe and not close enough to where they might get hit with some gunfire.
They're aware of the accident, Teresa. Is that correct?
They're aware. They don't have availability.
This is where the speeds ramp up quite a bit. You can hear the car and the shaking and everything.
I've got the radio. Eastbound, speed's about 100. Do we have permission to leave the bike to assist?
So we got Eudora officers getting in place under the bridges so that we can deploy the stop sticks at those locations.
Still eastbound, 97 miles an hour. Yeah, I don't know if we can match the regional or the ability, but I know we gotta make sure they're aware. We're staying eastbound. We're passing the 23rd Street exit. Still eastbound about 90-some miles an hour. 93-ish.
So again, no traffic early in the morning, so it's really being managed well in a safe way.
Some of the units in the back of this, when he sees all these lights up here, be ready in case he tries to go through the median to flip around.
Right here on Spike underneath Winchester Bridge, over on the south side of the highway.
Past the E1900, past the E1900. 100 miles an hour.
So that's a Eudora car there, I believe.
Just shot at the Eudora officer.
So when you have something like this, it's really important to get everybody together and have everybody working well. And that's one of the things that I want to point out as well is the support of Eudora, Douglas County, and Highway Patrol. Everybody working together really created the outcome that we had on this pursuit.
Coming up to you.
So we've got another Eudora officer here deploying stop sticks.
Did he hit him?
And it will become apparent that he did because he'll start slowing down here in a minute.
Did he hit the spikes?
So you see his brake lights coming on now. He's getting ready to stop. And what I want to draw your attention to here is how far back the officers stay. Remember, this person's armed with a gun.
Somebody can get the rifle out.
So now Officer Henderson's directing resources
Got his
and
hand out
planning
the window. Everybody stay back.
for a tactical approach. A lot of times you'll see in these car chase videos, everybody runs up to the car and it gets very chaotic. That's not what happens here. And that's why I think it's important for us to show you this video, because this is how they're supposed to happen. Yes. So see all the officers here, and again, it's because we're holding everybody back. We're telling them stay back. We're ordering the driver back from the car. His female passenger has already gotten out. She's over on the right side of the road there. You can see her.
Walk straight backwards!
So that's where some of the compression for time is here. We've edited a little bit there.
Yeah, on that side there's a passenger laying down. Not that I know of. Keep walking!
Anderson, we can lay them over here. Yes.
I'm shutting KSNT down if you're
Snipes, is that you? Snipes, take over!
Step to the right. Keep stepping. Keep stepping. Stop. Back up. Keep stepping.
So again, distance is our friend here. Get him away from the car.
Keep coming.
Get him where we can see his hands. He's following all those commands, and we're walking him back to us. There's a drone view of it, so we've got the drone up.
Keep coming. All right, get on the ground. Keep your hands out to your side like an airplane.
Holding everybody back.
Hands out! Cross your legs! Behind your back!
Do not move.
Not move!
So it's very controlled. Get up there, handcuff him.
She's in the ditch. Walk her back to us. She's involved.
Holds those officers back. They're wanting to go up and capture her and Like, wait, walk her back.
Let's get him out of this funnel. Okay. Just pat him down real fast.
So see all the cars there. You know, this is one of those things that could have easily gotten out of control, and it didn't in this instance. That's the drone view, so we can safely clear the car with the drone. We can safely watch her back with the drone as well.
Get on your knees. Hands in the air. Lay on your face. Arms out. Lay on your face. Put your hands out. Cross your ankles. Don't move.
So now they're able to safely go up and clear the car with the drone for an overwatch. And again, you can see all the cars there. It was just a really great job by everybody involved. And this is a textbook. This is how a car chase should end. This is how a pursuit should be conducted. And this is what we try to do when we do these things. Happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Wanted to ask about the, I guess, gun or rifle or whatever that was used to shoot at the officers. Did you recover that in the vehicle? Didn't look like the suspect had anything on him. What were you able to find out about that?
I believe we did recover that from the car, right?
Officer Henderson
Yeah.
found it in the grass. He had thrown it out.
Okay. Yeah, he had thrown it out of the car during the pursuit, and it was located later.
What kind of firearm?
It was a handgun, I believe. A handgun.
Did it hit any of the vehicles or anything?
We know it hit the highway patrol vehicle. I don't think it hit any other vehicles, though.
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that one, but I can find out for you.
I assume there, in addition to the 2 murder charges, that this guy is being charged with the attempted murder of police officers or whatever, and fleeing and evading police.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
addition to that.
Yeah, he was charged with a number of things. I don't have a list of all the...
5 counts of
5
capital.
counts of attempted capital murder.
Who was the female with Ron?
It was a female companion. She was not charged with anything in the incident.
So we don't think she was involved with the murders at all, the 2 people?
I don't think we've determined that she was involved at all. Is that correct? No. Yeah.
Was she surprised to be in the chase?
I don't know. I didn't talk to her. I didn't interview her, so I don't know if she was. I'm guessing when she tried to get out there at 23rd Street, there's an indication that she probably didn't realize what was going on. Looked like they were trying to get away, and so she probably didn't understand the ramification of all of it.
How did this start exactly? Because it started in town.
Yeah.
I guess he obviously became aware that you folks wanted to arrest him, so how did that happen?
So we throughout the night, the murders happened at about 1 o'clock in the morning is when we got our first call. This is about 6:20 in the morning. Throughout the night, we're doing some investigation, and we were able to determine who the suspect was. We believed he was. So we were doing some surveillance, waiting for him to leave the house. We didn't want to end up in a hostage situation. So when he left, we tried to stop him, and that's how the pursuit got started.
Do you believe that that same firearm that was recovered, they threw out the window, was used for the murders, or is that?
We don't know that. Yeah, we don't know that yet.
Is this someone, this gentleman that you took into custody, is he someone who has been known to Lawrence Police Department or law enforcement in the area?
He was not familiar to us here, but he was familiar to law enforcement outside of Lawrence.
And while I understand that there's no good time for this kind of chase, the fact that it happened, as you said, at about 6 in the morning, does that aid your officers in any way in terms of just making sure there's not a lot of people on the road, not a lot of chance of somebody accidentally making the wrong move?
Right. Yeah, it was a Sunday morning at 6:20, and so we got really lucky with that part of it. And again, when you're involved in pursuits, you're constantly evaluating the value to taking that person in custody versus the potential danger to the public. So in this case, very little traffic, very few people around or up and about, so that risk was fairly low, and so we did get lucky in that respect.
The woman in the video, is she cooperating with this investigation?
We interviewed her, but as far as I know, when this happened, she was.
Chief, I know you said, you're fortunate that it was Sunday morning, but, it's not unusual for some people to get out and ride their bike or jog or walk their dog real early in the morning. We just really didn't see that. But, this was still exceptionally dangerous, was it not?
Any pursuit that you're involved in is dangerous, and that's why we're constantly evaluating the risk to the public versus the risk of apprehending the person. So in this instance, we had somebody who we believed had killed 2 people, and so the danger of him being out in public is pretty high, And so when we're evaluating, that's the standard we're evaluating it against. And so we felt like he needed to be taken into custody as soon as possible. And so in this case, we were fortunate that there wasn't much pedestrian or other vehicle activity in the city. But had there been, we probably would have made the same decision. We just would have had to take extra measures to be able to make it as safe as it can be.
Now, throughout the video, we saw the constant communication between the different law enforcement groups. I mean, how important is it to have those relationships with, say, the Johnson County Sheriff's, with Highway Patrol?
Yeah, the communication is the key in these things, and I think that's one of the things that made this successful was the way we communicated with everybody, whether it be the dispatchers or the car-to-car traffic. You heard a lot of that. And credit goes to the officers who were involved in this pursuit. They were very experienced officers who knew how important it was to coordinate everything. And you saw all the cars there. There was probably 20 or 25 cars there from all different agencies. And you all have seen the same videos I have where you get 20 or 25 people dogpiling onto a suspect, and it just doesn't look good. It doesn't go well. And so the way this was handled, in my opinion, as a law enforcement veteran of 32 years, was exceptional. And that's why I wanted to tell this story to you all, because you don't get to see the good stories that often, and this is one of the good ones.
Chief, what is the threshold for a police chase like this? I mean, you mentioned obviously this is really serious when you're talking about
Yeah.
a couple of murders, but I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of a line where you got to determine, whether it's worth it going after somebody. Where is that line for you folks?
The line is, it really has to be determined by the situation, so there's not a real hard and fast line. If we got somebody who's running a red light, obviously that wouldn't be somebody we'd chase. Up to this end where we had somebody who believes a murder suspect. Typically when you know the person and you can apprehend them at another time, you wouldn't involve them in a chase. Typically if it's not a violent crime, you wouldn't do that. But there are times when we may have to do that. So what we want to have happen is our supervisors evaluate that pursuit. They question the officers about the traffic conditions, about the speeds and the charges, and then there's a constant evaluation about whether that pursuit should continue or not.
How scared were your officers?
Well, considering that they were getting shot at, I imagine they were pretty scared. I can't speak for them, but I can tell you that I've been shot at before, and it's a pretty unnerving situation. The interesting thing, though, is while you're in that moment, you don't really realize it. It's when it's over and you're going back and thinking, oh, wow, I just got shot at. That was probably a pretty dangerous thing. So, our training kicks in. We do what we're supposed to do, and we push through.
How much training goes into something like that?
The pursuit part? Yeah. So we do regular in-service training. We also have training in the academy. And then, just everyday driving helps with that. When we're on emergency runs and things like that, it helps reinforce some of those things that you learn in your emergency vehicle operation training.
And for the drone, you're taking that with you guys now?
Yeah, we've got, we have several deployed out in all the cars. We've got, I think, 15, Adam, is that right? Roughly 15 drones. And that's what Sergeant Fennelly and Officer Affolter here are two of our drone operators. And so we use them for things like this. In fact, they used them in the pursuit you saw at the end, and then they went back and used the same drones to help map the crime scenes. So we're using them for a lot of things here that you wouldn't normally think of, and they're very effective for those things.
So with it stop sticks, I mean, obviously that seemed to be key. It looked like it was just in the right lane, because obviously if you put them in both, then your officers could go over them too, and that could be problematic. So you got to choose a lane and hope he hits it. Is that how that works?
Yeah, there's all different kinds, and I don't know what kind they had here, but some of them have a rope on them, so when you deploy them out, the bad guy hits them, you pull them back so the other cars don't hit them. And I don't know what kind they had here. You did see them in the right lane. Sometimes the suspects will swerve and miss them, so you got to really be tactical about it. And then there's also a danger when you're deploying the stop sticks, because there's been instances where officers have been struck by the suspect trying to avoid the stop sticks. So again, dangerous situation, but really when we have pursuits, the one thing we try and get into is get those stop sticks down. They deflate the tires very quickly, and it at least slows the car if the person continues. If not, in this case, you just stop the car. So that's a really important thing that we try and get out as quickly as we can.
It looked like the highway patrol guy that really was in serious, could have been very serious. I mean, the fact that his car started to lose control and he was being shot at, I mean, it was fortunate that worked out pretty well, I guess, ultimately, right?
Yeah, it really is. And, again, we're talking about a dangerous situation. You've got a car that you're trying to spin out so that you can stop a pursuit. But you've got to get close to do that, and that's what the trooper was trying to do, and that's when he was shot. His car was shot.
How proud are you of the officers?
I'm really proud of my officers. I told them that that next morning. I've told them that several times since then. But the leadership that they displayed, the restraint that they showed, and then the ingenuity to think about getting a drone up, to think about all those tactical considerations are things that we train for, and we know that they happen. But when you get to see them like this as a police chief, I'm very proud of the officers. I'm very proud to lead this organization.
How was the suspect connected to the victims?
I don't know that we know that yet. I think we're still...
I'm going to just stop any investigational questions only because this has been since July 31st. So it's now the case is in the hands of the DA, so it's
been
kind of
charged.
inappropriate for us to comment on anything that has happened since the day of the chase.
The Douglas
That's
County
yeah.
DA, is that
correct?
right?
So
Correct.
you're welcome to call the Douglas County District Attorney with any
And they've sealed the affidavit too, so I think there's some, yeah.
Well, Chief, why don't we just ask you, I mean, you know, this guy shot at your officers.
Mm-hmm.
He shot at people in law enforcement. What do you think should happen to him based on the fact that he took shots at your officers?
Well, I think he needs to go to jail for a really long time. You know, one thing that we talk about is these officers go out, they put their lives on the line every day to keep their community safe. And when we have people like this who disregard their safety to try and get away with something, I think it's very serious, and I think they need to spend a lot of time in jail.
Maybe tell us a little bit more about the advantages of having that drone there.
Yeah, I wonder if I was going to say that.
Drew, you want to
or
talk about the drone?
Sure.
Yeah.
The drone provides significant advantages when we're in a situation where we don't want to put a person necessarily into a position where we're risking their safety. So the drone gives us the ability to get a different view on a situation so that we can see what's going on and use that camera on that drone, because that's all it is a flying camera. So using that camera to get a different perspective on the situation allows us to make better informed decisions, keep officers safe, keep the public safe, and keep suspects safe as well.
Would you say this is kind of the most intense situation you've had your drone footage of?
I wasn't here for this situation. I would let Officer Affalter answer that question.
Thanks. Definitely the most intense situation that I've deployed the drone in. I also did the mapping later, but going 100 miles an hour and then getting out, and then we trained doing very fine motor skills with operating the drone. It was definitely intense. There's definitely times where you can see where some of my adrenaline was starting to cool off, and some of the camera footage isn't the best, but definitely a pretty intense situation.
Were you the one, was that your
It
car?
was. Yeah. Well, I flew the unit.
This was the drone footage. Officer Henderson was the lead in the pursuit.
Are you willing to?
He can't.
He
Can't
can't.
speak. I mean, he's able to speak. He's able to
I can
speak.
talk.
I heard it.
He's going to have to be in court, so we'd rather just let him speak there. How's that?
And so we're not willing to say right now whether or not this suspect knew the victims.
No, I can't speak specifically about, since it's been charged, I can't speak more specifically about that. Got time for one more.
You know how many miles it was the entire chase covered in
Oh,
time
that's
as
a
well?
good question. It went from 6:20 to 6:38.
It went from, yeah, it ended at 6:38 with the woman being arrested, so I can get the approximate mileage. I think it was 13. I looked, I'm going to have to check.
We'll get it for you.
I can get it for you, but the pursuit started at 6:20 and ended,
6:38 with her in custody.
she was in custody at 6:38.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out what time he actually stopped, and I don't have that right here, but I'll look it up.
Do you have max speed on there as well by any chance? Is that like the max speed that the chase reached?
Oh.
I heard 100,
Okay.
so and it was, when he was on K-10, it was 90s, upper 90s to 100, and then around town, I think it got up to like 70 something.
Kevin, would you say that's a fair estimate, about 100 miles an hour? Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.